Good evening, I'm Jason Vio. This is CBC Windsor News. Thanks for joining us. We begin tonight with news from City Hall. Mayor Drew Dilkens has disclosed he is battling cancer. The mayor's office has confirmed Dilkens has been diagnosed with prostate cancer. The mayor told other media that he has been monitoring his prostate health for years now due to a family history and that his doctor caught the cancer early, so his prognosis is good. Dilkens will be seeking treatment this week in London. Councillor Joanne Gignac will step in while Dilkens seeks care. An explosion of fire. That's how witnesses describe a collision over the weekend where they stepped in to pull people from the burning vehicles. 6 people were sent to hospital. 5 of them were seriously hurt and 1 has life-threatening injuries. Pratush Dayal brings us the latest.
A fiery collision sent 6 people to hospital over the weekend. Police say a pickup truck struck a sedan near McDougall Street just after 8:30 p.m. before veering into opposite traffic and colliding head-on with an SUV. Nico Varelli was just across the street, called 911 and sprinted over to the SUV. He says he saw 2 unresponsive people, a woman in the passenger seat and a man behind the wheel. According to Varelli, the front part of the SUV was on fire. He says he was able to pull the woman out through the passenger side. A pair of glasses still at the scene. But the driver was stuck with his legs tangled up under the steering wheel. So Varelli got in the back of the car and tried to recline the driver's seat.
I was sitting inside the car while the car is on fire. Now the flames are growing and they're starting to go inside the vehicle at this point through the windshield. And I could taste and smell the smoke, right? There was almost a toxic flavor. I can still taste it right now.
At this point, Varelli was aided by Ali Abu Kasni. Kasni says he entered through the front passenger side of the SUV and with much difficulty they pulled out the unconscious driver and placed him on the ground.
It was horrific, blood everywhere, all over our clothes. Fire, there was smoke everywhere, smells like burnt, it was horrible, yeah. I did end up getting a couple of little burns on my hair, my eyelashes, my hand, but it's not that big of a deal. I didn't think of that. I wanted to just get the guy out.
Time was of the essence, the duo say.
It seemed like 30 seconds later I was stepping away and the entire vehicle is essentially engulfed in flames.
The weeds along the pavement and that portion of the street is still left charred. Glass shattered in the vicinity, with car debris in the grass. The police say the SUV's driver is hospitalized with life-threatening injuries. The driver of the pickup truck is also hospitalized and will face dangerous driving charges. Pratush Dayal, CBC News, Windsor.
Windsor City Council has approved a new multi-story student apartment building on Riverside Drive West, but it wasn't a unanimous council decision and city administration initially denied it. Chris Ensing brings us the story.
City Council just gave the green light to turn this property right here into a 3.5-story apartment building that's dedicated to students. But they did that against the recommendation of city staff, who say this doesn't fit with current zoning policy. This project builds 46 one-bedroom units, fully furnished, rented for less than $1,500 a month, including utilities. Letters sent to council from neighbors say they want this.
It's hard to say no to a development where all of the neighbors, even on a street like Riverside Drive, really want to see this development happen.
But staff inside City Hall oppose the project, saying it's too big for the area it's built in, according to guiding documents for the area approved by council.
We also looked at the fact that if this was a proposal that was being proposed for University Avenue, which council has designated as an intensification corridor, we wouldn't be having this conversation. We would have a different recommendation in front of you.
Getting it done requires staff to waive rules put in place to keep developments in line with expectations. This project has significantly fewer parking spots, 12 instead of 57. It's about 5 meters taller than what's allowed on Riverside Drive by the university. Despite staff opposition, council gave it the green light.
If this is done right, it could change the landscape of what we need here in this city. But if it's done wrong, it could have just as bad as an effect.
Windsor's mayor opposes the project, saying the city needs to start thinking about how Riverside Drive gets developed.
I would expect in the course of 40 or 50 years, you're going to see developers buy those up, and you're going to start to see big apartment buildings rise in those locations because it's $1 million view. And so I think we want to make sure that we're doing this in a smart and sensible way.
The person behind this development lives in the house that will be torn down for the building. And while the final version of the building could be different and could house more people, he pledges that won't happen.
I'm certainly not going to do that. My reputation's on the line.
He says construction should start next September, making this building ready for back-to-school move-in by 2027. Chris Ensing, CBC News, Windsor.
And Khalil joins us now for a live look at weather. Khalil, we're kind of on that stretch of that really nice weather.
Yeah, really nice weather in the next couple of days, Jason. So looking at what we saw today, overall a really nice day in terms of cool temperatures, manageable, but it's going to be changing over the next little bit. So we got up to 20 degrees in the city of Windsor, a little bit cooler as you go towards Sarnia, London, but over the next couple of days, just watch, it's going to be changing quite drastically. So we'll have to get through the overnight hours first. It's going to be 8 degrees for our overnight low, and then we can really enjoy what we have in store for the next couple of days. So 24 degrees is going to be our high for Tuesday, but after that, it's going to be warming up quite nicely. We're looking at Tuesday, 23, but then look at Wednesday, Thursday, 27, 25, maybe a dip on Thursday, but Jason, just gorgeous weather for the next little while, Jason.
All right, thanks so much. An alleged hate crime has sent shockwaves through the Muslim community in Newmarket, north of Toronto. A family is now left fearing for their safety after being the target of a murder plot. Lane Harrison has those details.
The National Council of Canadian Muslims holding an emergency press conference in Newmarket Monday morning, revealing disturbing details about one man's alleged violent plot to blow up a local mosque and kill a family that is part of Newmarket's Muslim community after being radicalized online.
The suspect is an HVAC expert. He allegedly said that he would use his expertise in that area to tamper with gas lines, to blow up his Muslim neighbor's home, to kill everyone inside, and including allegedly the children. He would then allegedly use the same methods to blow up the local mosque.
54-year-old Donald Cameron was arrested by York Regional Police and charged with 2 counts of uttering threats. He allegedly knew the family, his neighbors, for 14 years, befriending them, but allegedly telling another neighbor about his violent plan. It was that neighbor who eventually tipped off police.
This is being treated as a hate crime.
The family allegedly targeted, wishing to stay anonymous, but the father saying in a statement, quote, "The thought that someone living so close to us within our own community was consuming and sharing far-right anti-Muslim content and beliefs while planning violent attacks is deeply disturbing and unsettling." Officials saying the incident is rippling through the community.
How do you go about your daily life? Like, I spoke to the mosque, and the mosque is like, how do we make sure that our worshipers still feel safe coming here?
In 2023, a federal report said urgent action was needed to combat a rise in Islamophobia in Canada. The NCCM saying this alleged incident shows more work needs to be done, calling for a national strategy on online radicalization.
I am tired of standing at press conference after press conference, saying the same words over and over and over again, because I find myself running out of words to say. Our community deserves more than just words. We want to see action. We want to see change. We want to see real solutions.
Cameron's bail hearing was scheduled to happen Monday in Newmarket Court, but has been delayed till Tuesday. Lane Harrison, CBC News, Newmarket.
Prime Minister Mark Carney has announced an $80 million tariff relief fund for businesses in Atlantic Canada. It's aimed at helping industries there hit hard by Donald Trump's trade war with Canada. But the Liberal government is also proposing millions of dollars in support for the aluminum sector. Kate McKenna has those details.
With the provincial election looming, Prime Minister Mark Carney visited Newfoundland and Labrador, announcing $80 million of a $1 billion fund intended to help Atlantic Canadian businesses weather the tariff storm.
Help them not just to invest, not just to endure, but to thrive.
Last week, the Carney government announced new plans and money to help tariff-afflicted industries.
Becoming more efficient in federal spending so that we have the room, we have the force to support our businesses so they can invest for the future.
This relief, this $80 million, hopefully that it's going to be an easy process, not a lot of bureaucracy, and that businesses can get the support they need. But we know there are businesses in Atlantic Canada right now that desperately need this support.
Meanwhile, in Quebec, Canada's industry minister sought to reassure a major industry under direct threat. The United States has slapped a 50% tariff on aluminum.
The Quebec aluminum sector will get its fair share. And we believe that with the projects that are being discussed right now with Alcoa, with Rio Tinto, and with Alouette, it's hundreds of millions of dollars.
Today's announcement is a very clear signal from the federal government, the Canadian government, Melanie, that the government stands behind us.
Still, the federal government insists the fight's not over. They want to see these tariffs lifted.
We need to think about the fact that the President of the United States have decided that it's his economy will be based on paying for having access to it.
Last week, the Prime Minister admitted it's unlikely the American tariffs will be lifted anytime soon. He said there could be some smaller sector-specific deals. But at the same time, both countries are preparing to review the existing free trade agreement starting next year. Kate McKenna, CBC News, Ottawa.
CBC News is getting exclusive access to Canada's annual military exercises in the Arctic. Operation Nanook has grown in importance and urgency as a warming climate and melting ice makes the far north more attractive to foreign powers. David Common is there and shows us the scenarios the Canadian Armed Forces are learning to handle.
In Canada's far north, military helicopters are bound for a mountaintop. This area, so vast, an oil tanker spotted below is just a blip on the horizon. It is just the latest in an ever-expanding list of ships up here as climate change opens up these waters. At the mountain peak, the Griffin helicopter lands gingerly and ejects a small team of soldiers. They will live on this land for days at a time, watching out for the waterway below, because there are adversaries of Canada, China and Russia in particular, who are very interested in this region. There is certainly risk to these troops, alone, isolated, exposed, and in freezing temperatures. But their job is guarding against risks below. For instance, what if an oil tanker should sink or run aground? It's a disaster that Canada's Coast Guard here is practicing for, pulling a protective boom which would contain a spill of any kind.
What is the risk if you can't contain?
Of course, in the Arctic, there's minimal resources and infrastructure, and so the impacts of a large spill or potential pollution event in the Arctic could be very significant.
It also means that response time could be days, at least. It's why ships are required to carry their own equipment and deploy it should they leak or spill contaminants. The question, though, is whether cargo vessels would actually do that, especially in such a vast area where it may seem few are watching. On the bridge of HMCS William Hall, one of the Navy's newest vessels, the crew must watch for ice even in summer.
Went back with the tide.
Sub-Lieutenant Eric Muir-Cressman says vessel traffic up here has exploded with climate change warming waters and melting ice. But it's also made ice more unpredictable. And with that comes risk.
It's so random where the ice actually is converging and forming that those routes that used to be fairly consistent, like you can get here through here this time of year, they're jam-packed with ice. Or one that you thought was closed is completely open.
A live look outside. We will have a more fulsome look at your weather later in the program, but when we come back, we'll have more news for you right after the break. Stay with us. 2 Palestinian gunmen opened fire at a bus stop in Jerusalem on Monday, killing 6 people and wounding a dozen others. Police say the attackers shot people waiting at a bus stop. Israeli security officials say the 2 attackers were from the West Bank. Crystal Gomansing has more.
In Jerusalem's outskirts, Ramat Junction, a busy hub of buses and commuters, erupted in chaos and death. Maybe after 2-3 seconds, someone suddenly shouted terror attack and people started running, says eyewitness Elzar Toldano. 6 people were killed, many others injured. According to Israeli police, 2 Palestinian attackers were shot dead at the scene by an off-duty soldier and an armed civilian. Shlomo Spry was at the scene.
It's hard to describe in words. Devastation, sorrow, and just praying for those that were injured. They should get a speedy recovery.
The Monday morning attack is described as the deadliest of its kind since the war began in Gaza. The gunmen are believed to have been from a village in the nearby occupied West Bank. Visiting the scene, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu vowed to press on. We will not relent. We will not back down. We will intensify our operations and achieve all of our objectives, said Netanyahu. Israel Defense Forces descended on villages in the West Bank, raiding a home reportedly connected to one of the attackers. In Gaza, operations were more destructive. The IDF struck down another tower in Gaza City. This one was empty, but displaced people nearby suffered the fallout. They destroyed everything for the people, says Mohammed Noman. The tents were destroyed. There's nothing left for people to live in. The Hamas-run Gaza Health Ministry says in the last 24 hours, 67 people have been killed in Israeli operations. Netanyahu said more airstrikes would be ordered ahead of a ground maneuver, warning residents to leave now. Israel's president is expected in London for meetings this week. A demonstration in support of Palestinians has been scheduled Tuesday evening outside of 10 Downing Street, although it's unclear if Isaac Herzog will be meeting with the British Prime Minister. Crystal Gomansing, CBC News, London.
At least 19 people have been killed in Nepal after police opened fire during a large anti-government protests. Thousands of protesters, mainly youth, are rallying against the government over a social media ban. Salama Shivji reports.
Fury from the crush of protesters crowding into the streets of Kathmandu as they storm towards the parliament and a wall of police. The clashes fiery and violent. Police used tear gas and unleashed water cannons. The bullets missed me, this protester says, but my friend was shot in the head. How can they just fire indiscriminately at us, he asks.
They're killing little children, people in school uniforms with school ID cards. This government does not care about us.
More than 100 demonstrators were hurt as the death toll inched upwards. At this trauma center for the wounded, pain and confusion. It was a real bullet that ripped away part of my hand, Iman Magar says. I was there for a peaceful protest, but the police used so much force. They had gathered by the thousands to protest a wide-ranging ban on 26 social media platforms like Facebook and YouTube, put in place just days ago to tackle hate speech, the government said. Others criticized the ban as a means to stifle dissent. But the protest, dominated by Nepal's disillusioned younger generation, is about much more.
They want to control us just like a dictator. All the Nepalese citizens are fed up of corruption. Every youth are going outside the country.
And the aggressive police response to the protest, a dangerous miscalculation, observers say.
It's only going to make the matter worse. The poor governance, the nepotism, and the corruption that fueled the kids protesting, but the use of force, which is just unjustifiable.
As the protests exploded, Nepal's prime minister hastily called a cabinet meeting, his government choosing to give in to the protesters and reverse the social media ban. Hoping that will be enough to quell the deep anger against an increasingly unpopular government.
successful.
And Khalil joins us for a live look at weather. And Khalil, we've talked about it on the show before. CBC has a beach volleyball team.
Yeah.
The league ended a couple weeks ago. Things are getting a little cooler.
Sure.
And we were joking in the newsroom today that we could maybe try to play in the snow since things are getting a little cooler. But the way you teed up weather, it's like we could almost restart the volleyball league this upcoming week.
Let's get it going again for at least the next couple of days. I think that might be a good thing. You might not want to play tonight. It's going to be quite cool overnight tonight as we drop down to a low of 8, but it's going to be beautiful as we go through the next couple of days, and the temperatures are going to be rising. We really do have a high pressure system over top of us that really moves the cloud cover out of the way. So you're going to see at nighttime a lot of stars if you're getting into a place with very little light pollution. And then through the day, just blue sky, and also the temperature is going to be ramping up as we encounter very warm temperatures. This was the high all around the country today. We got up to just 20 degrees for our Monday, but it is going to be much nicer than that as we go through the next little while. Through our nation's capital, it was just in the teens, and really most of Ontario was in the teens. Towards the west, it was a little bit warmer, but Ontario itself, it seemed like a really cool day. But that's going to be making a change in the next little while, which is going to be really nice. So as of 6 o'clock tonight, we have temperatures at 19 degrees in Windsor, and then it's going to be about 17 in Sarnia and about 19, and still pretty warm around the Golden Horseshoe. So still pretty nice and comfortable temperatures for most of us. What's ahead for us? Pretty good temperatures and pretty good sky too. You're not really seeing in terms of cloud cover much at all. It's really quiet, and anything that's going to be coming is going to be moving out of the way quite quickly. So overall, a really nice temperature. We do have a low of 8 degrees, as I mentioned, overnight tonight, and all around southwestern Ontario, it is going to be quiet. This is going to be our high for tomorrow, 24 degrees. So 4 degrees warmer than it was today, and there's really no chance of anything coming down. And looking at the next little while, I mentioned the warm-up. Let's get that volleyball league going. Wednesday looks like a great day. Thursday looks like a great day. Even the weekend, Jason, looks great too.
All right, a lot of 27s in that chart there. Thanks so much.
All right.
Well, that's it for us here. Thank you so much for watching CBC Windsor News, and have a good night. We'll see you back here tomorrow.